"Mm, well, partially true." And you're correct. It's often realization is combining these two views in everyday life, every moment, every present moment. And we'll often hear a partial view with that means some aspect of a truth in it, like most of us are um, making contact with, and then go, but uh, I wrote something in Facebook. I'll give you an example while we're waiting. And somebody said, none of it matters. That was the comment. None of it matters. I don't do politics. I don't do religion. I don't do spirituality. I don't do relationship because none of it matters. And I wrote with kindness, what if it all matters? How do you live as if every thought, every word, and every action you ever commit to, that you ever uh, matters? And he wrote, it wouldn't matter. That's a nihilistic view. Now he's drawing to the absolute. That's the absolute view, which is that in the long run, everything in its perfection, says the Vajrayana, everything in its perfect unfolding. Why? Built on infinite causes and conditions, not to be otherwise, is how the Madhyamaka Vajrayana school sees this. They're not incorrect. The truth is ultimately, and myself as one to impact, influence, and change the world, and to misunderstand that. And so we have the particled view of life on the one side. Life is just a series of aggregates, a series of sense experiences, a series of the sense door perceiving it, a series of the mind which knows it. It goes away and then it appears again. And then it repeats. That's the way on the one side, the view. The other side is none of it matters. It doesn't matter what's going on. And the middle view is how to integrate with non-duality, with non-opposition, non-side taking, no conflict, because the truths have no conflict, right? They are just aspects of a truth. And I love that reality. And I'm always working on that. And also working for me on noticing how quickly I can take a side, how quickly I can grab a view, and learning all the time how to pause for a moment, gather my views, gather both the particled view, just this moment, and its infinite implication, and then how to speak, act most wholeheartedly, most committedly from it. And this is why it takes the pause, because look at all you've got to draw together. And so those two views are going to be things we're going to investigate today in the meditation uh, practice and in the whole second pillar of awakening, which is meditation itself. And so someone from a certain school, this person who said, in fact, none of it matters, would say that formal practice is pointless. In fact, he did say that. Doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't matter. It's all conditioned anyway. It's almost like a predeterministic, like how it's going to go, how it goes, and it's going to go based on conditions. But we already know that that's not true, don't we? Wholly. We already know that, in fact, the way I can see things most clearly impacts the way I think, and the way I think then impacts what I say, and then what I say impacts uh, what I ultimately choose to do also, not only, but also. And so we're going to talk about the benefits of formal practice. I can't say that someone cannot, and I would not, reach realization of the total view, total realization of the truth without formal practice. I can't say that. I, I can say I don't know that. When I was not practicing the first 35 years plus of my life, I was not able to see clearly. I had a fairly myopic, egoistic, um, conditioned point of view and could not imagine or see another. And it was only through the practice for me that I could see perspectives, views, non-dual potential, sides, and the truths in each more clearly. So I cannot say that formal practice is the only way. I can say I can only teach from what I know. And what I know is those moments for me of stillness, those moments of me of watching my own mind and seeing its folly and seeing its fickleness and seeing its preferencing and seeing its bias and seeing how easy I could buy in to it should be my way. The consequence of that was clear. And it was that there was less benefit than that which I believed was possible in me, through me, and in the world. And I will also say, since that time where I can stop a little for a moment, breathe open, create space, look more clearly, start with don't know mind, that I am more skillful. I know I contribute more and I cause less harm. That's just what I know. I can't say what's true for you. I'm hoping you'll tell me today. So thank you, Jim, for posting where we can offer Donna. We are not currently collecting monies, just so you know, for the Healthy Meals Project. We're already done with that. And so thank you all so, so much. That was unbelievable that we could start with the wish to do a day for Scripps, and we did a whole month, which is amazing. And thank you to those matching donors, those who said, whoever puts up something, I'll put it up too. That's unbelievable. And thank you, because that also made a difference for us. So I appreciate all that. Yes, it's always beautiful to see everyone's names, isn't it? Yes. I'm going to go flip to a document here. I picked two readings as we were going to be investigating meditation as the second pillar of awakening today, or the second pillar of realization. This is from Jon Kabat-Zinn himself. Jon is quite a prolific poet, actually. He just doesn't publish his work, but much of what he writes and says not only holds the reality and the truth of prose, but this amazing artistry. His father, by the way, was a scientist and his mother was an artist. And what a beautiful drawing together. And this is what he has to say about formal meditation practice. Have you ever had the experience of stopping so completely, of being in your body so completely, of being in your life so completely that you knew and what you didn't know, that what had been and what was yet to come, and the way things are right now, no longer held even the slightest hint of anxiety or discord? It would be a moment of complete presence, beyond striving, beyond mere acceptance, beyond the desire to escape or fix anything or plunge ahead. A moment of pure seeing, pure feeling, a moment in which life simply is. And that isness grabs you by all your senses, all your memories, by all your very genes, by your loves, and welcomes you home. That very isness that we make contact with in our formal practice that requires essential stillness, silence, and open space to make contact with. Otherwise, what the whirling mind has us and throws us about the room. I thought I'd bring another version of that, again, very real in terms of the practice, by Mary Oliver. And I always love Mary because she holds to this I'm just being here view, which I also love. I'm just being, and let's see what she has to say on meditating, sort of. And I loved the very title, on meditating, sort of. Meditation, so I've heard, is best accomplished if you entertain a certain strict posture. Frankly, I prefer just to lounge under a tree. So why should I think I could ever be successful? Some days I fall asleep or land in that even better place, half asleep, where the world, spring, summer, autumn, winter, flies through my mind in its hardy ascent and its uncompromising descent. So I just lie like that, while distance and time reveal their true attitudes. They never heard of me and never will or ever need to. Of course, I wake up finally thinking, how wonderful to be who I am, made out of earth and water, my own thoughts, my own fingerprints, all that glorious, temporary stuff. Now, right there in that last two lines, she holds the relative and the absolute view, doesn't she? She says it all matters down to the fingerprint, all this temporary stuff, nothing to hold, nothing to identify with, and nothing to keep. How wonderful to be who I am in the relative, knowing it all changes and passes. She did an amazing job, I thought, of holding the two perspectives in right view, this everything down to the fingernail that is true, as well as poof, nothing to hold. And so let's prepare to sit together. I'm so glad to see you all here. I'm going to end this for now. I will include these in our newsletter. And so there are two trainings, and most of you know these trainings. There's the shamatha training, which is the training in first stabilizing the mind, settling the mind, resting in open, still, and silent space. We always begin like that because this very making contact with the mind, gathering and collecting it, and then settling it is essential to any kind of clear seeing, essential to clear seeing. And then we abide in that still, silent space. And this very calm abiding, this shamatha, leads naturally without efforting. And in fact, the more effort you apply, often the more difficult it becomes to seeing more clearly a vast, wide open lens of awareness in which we see the truth of all things, like Mary Oliver said. There's my finger print. There it is. I'm looking right at it. This is with the sense doors. And then I remember, I realize the truth. Nothing holds, nothing permanent, nothing in which to grab or cling or reject. And so we'll see if we can't practice in those two, with those two paths, opening completely. And so establishing the posture. And as Mary was suspecting in the early, not too strict, but upright, dignified, and present. Try not to be some special way, said Joko. It's a false posture. How do you sit to be awake? Sit like that. We feel the feet, the legs, and the hips. Making real contact. The strength, the capacity to hold us upright, the flexibility, the sway of the spine. And then the balance of the head. And the whole of this part of the body sitting in open space. And so we move right up and out the crown of the head just to feel the truth that there is not only me, not only I, there is that which is to be known, which is beyond this body. And then while taking a good deep in breath, breathing in, coming down with the next out breath into the front of the body, feeling the face, the forehead, the cheeks, the jaw, making contact, softening, letting the whole front of the body be soft and relaxed. Letting the face be itself. What would that mean? Not projecting, expressing, or repressing anything. Sometimes that's called your original face, the one not doctored by opinion or bias, prejudice, perception at all. Breathing down from the face into the neck, the shoulders, the arms, letting them contribute to establishing you like scaffolding. And then back up the arms and down into the chest, the shoulders, the lungs. Just making contact with that full breathscape. Coming home, says John. Welcoming yourself home. And finding a place there in the breathscape to rest. And as we have set the body, placed the mind, we then have only one other commitment, and that is to open the heart. And we open the heart by recollecting our aspirations. The whole point of the practice for you, what is it? What brought you here? I know what brought you here. It's the same thing that brings me here. We know that the thinking mind, however bright, however sufficient, however relative the view, is not sufficient. Not to see the whole truth. We remember the preciousness of this human life. We remember our aspirations to cause least harm in it, to make a contribution however we can, and by this very practice, contributing to the good. And then remembering all those for whom we practice, beginning with yourself. For my own happiness and freedom. Beautiful beginning. For the happiness and the freedom of all those I love and know and connect to. Beautiful in the middle. And as we open that container wider, we practice for all beings, remembering the interconnectedness of all things. May this practice be a benefit to all beings everywhere without exception. I'm still practicing that part too, omitting none. Awakening us, freeing us. And with the strike of the bell, we commit ourselves most fully. The bell says, and now here, and here, and now, and here, and again, and again. And so we notice this body sitting here breathing, the first instruction, knowing the body is the body, knowing the body sitting. Knowing the body sitting and breathing. Letting the in-breath invigorate, inspire, and energize your intention. Let the out-breath settle the mind into the body, letting that body settle without artifice, without fabrication. Let it settle into the earth. Be watchful of the mind that begins to evaluate, to analyze, to storytell, to narrate. We just notice that that happens. It's a part of this human mind. And we pay it no, never mind. We simply let it come and be and pass. And with recognition, with the knowing, we see where the mind has wandered and we invite it home once again. Can we stay present here to the very particular sensations and direct experience of this very breath? May we pay attention sufficiently to know the in-breath as the in-breath by feel, by knowing, and the out-breath as the out-breath. and we abide the breath. Where the mind wanders is not the point, so be watchful of the tendency to evaluate, to judge, to condemn. You could be thinking about popcorn, you could be thinking about the day, you could be having murderous thoughts, pornographic thoughts. It's not the point. It is the movement away and the invitation back. Again and again, this is the training. Remember, this is the path to realization. Just by knowing the in-breath as the in-breath and the out-breath as the out-breath. Calming, purifying, unifying the mind. With each breath, we see if we can let go of the concept, of the prejudice, of the bias, that limited view, so that we can drop in more wholly, more completely, more boldly to the present moment as known this moment by this body, this breath. Remembering to bring an attitude of friendliness, of joy. One, we have the privilege of this practice in this precious human life. This is enough to make us smile ear to ear. We have the Sangha, we have the teacher, we have the teachings, we have this moment in which to awaken. No better conditions possible. We're resting right in the triple gems. And we have this capacity right here. This Buddha nature of ours, this Jesus Dharma. All the truths from all the traditions can be known right here. Drop the limited view. Be completely present to this. Breathing in, aware of the present moment. Breathing out, resting in awareness. With each breath, we surrender the limited view filled with bias, filled with preference, filled with opinion. We keep letting it go to open into the vaster, wider, more open, spacious, all-inclusive view. No sides, no duality. And you can begin with sufficient shamatha, calm abiding. You can begin to feel its sense like, oh, I can actually now hold the thought without being disrupted by it. As I know the breath is the breath, then I too can create space and room and know sensation as sensation, expanding itself to knowing thoughts as thoughts. But without resistance, without struggle, without pursuit of the pleasant or rejection of the unpleasant. This is the neutralizing and expanding the view. We sit abiding, now a larger container of awareness. Unconditional presence. Things we like, things we don't like. As we contact each mind object, a sound, a thought, a sensation, an emotion, Can we notice the limited view, the preferencing, the opinionating, the story that comes along? Remember, this begins to move us into the shamatha to vipassana, clearly seeing the truth of all mind objects, just like the breath, rising, appearing, taking form, changing, fading, dissolving. Doesn't matter what it is. Things you like and things you don't like. And as we begin to recognize that essential truth, that everything is impermanent, everything is in its coming and going, changing and passing, we get a little less grippy, a little less clingy, a little less bracing against, because we see there's really almost no point. In fact, there is not. And we relax a little bit. We create a little wider space, a little bigger view. The sky-like quality of mind begins to arise naturally, in which we hold the coming, the appearing, and the going of whatever mind object arises. We become non preferential, non reactive, non clinging, and spacious. And we begin to let go just a little bit more of all the strategies, all the habits for the keeping, the holding, the establishing, the keeping from, the pushing away, the resistance. We begin to smile at all of its folly and we rest back, just watching the show. Not me, not mine. We don't get confused anymore, just a view, not my view. A preference, not my preference. We see that not only are the mind objects coming and going, but the self who thinks it's solid also changes every breath as well. There is no permanent object, and there is no permanent mind. no permanent, fixed identity, self, one. And this is where those two views begin to come together. Oh, this isn't just about the stuff. This is the same rules, the same natural laws that apply to this mind, to this body, to this life. And we begin to relax. So instead of trying to stop the river, we begin to enjoy its flow. And then you can see that there is no one view that could possibly apply, because every moment fresh, everyone new, including the mind that sees it. And the knowing, the deep knowing, comes from within. It is not a thought. It is not an assessment. It's deeper, it's all inclusive, it's cellular, down to the bone and into the marrow. And by the breath, by the mind objects, by the attention alone, we begin to see the reality of all things, at least at this relative plane, that everything is impermanent, coming and going. Nothing is reliable. We can't count on or keep or hold anything. And so we begin to lighten up. And none of it's personal. This is not life against you. This is simply life. And as we train, we begin to cultivate the capacity to hold all of life, the beginning, the middle, and the end, with greater ease, greater spaciousness. We bow to the truth of it and don't fight, resist, or struggle. In fact, we smile. We open the container of our awareness wide, now seeing its capacity not only to hold all things, but to be able to be directed and focused, that attention. I can hold everything. The movement of the breath, the stillness of the body, all of the vicissitudes of the worldly winds. Whatever is arising is here to be known. Completely opened, breathe it in. And let it change and pass. And with these insights, we begin to act, speak, think more skillfully. We are less habited to grab, to try to secure, to find solid ground in an ever changing truth. And there is a place to sit, a place to reside, a place in which to dwell, where we can actually enjoy it all. This precious human life, holding everything. taking a moment and inviting some delicious stretch, unnodding of that self. When it's in stillness for a while, it does set itself. I'm going to go see if I can't find that document on the 3 pillars that I thought we would look at a little bit as we investigate now the second pillar, the pillar of awakening. So that is the combination. What we just did there is the combination of shamatha, calm abiding, stabilizing the mind on the one object, whether it be the breath, whether it be a particular other object like sound or sensation in the vast field of the body and the body's sensations is not the point. I have a lot of people with a lot of years of practice say, remind me why the breath? Because we forget the point of the practice. The point of the practice is not the breath itself. It just happens to be a very available object, one that is ever changing, ever arising, ever passing, and so beautiful place on which to rest the mind without gripping, without being able to hold on, without stabilizing, really in the constant flow of experience. I can't think of anything better than the breath, actually, as a result of that, in which to learn how to cultivate capacities for really holding all of life in its ever moving, changing reality. We can't solidify it, can we? We can't grab on and just hang on. And we like the idea. Actually, just give me something that I can grip. And the breath is ever present from birth to death. And so always there for that reason. But what's special about the breath? Well, the fact that it's always available, that it's often perceived neutrally, not always. We know people with, of course, breathing difficulties or challenges can struggle by placing the attention on the breath because it's so cathected and so associated with illness or pain or fear. And so for some people, it is true that starting with the breath is not best for them because of their already cultivated negative associations with the breath. So let's just see if we can find, this is the one on view. This is the description that I was talking about. I took some notes on relative view, that view of what's happening in the world as I can see it, know it, experience it right now. That's relative views, things as they are. An absolute view, the view of our ability to see things beyond just this moment, this preference, this. And we try to stabilize in the middle path practices in holding both views, though we always begin by first holding the one, which is the one object called the breath, just abiding the breath. Now you saw for yourself, because we sat long enough, I believe, to see beyond just the experience of the breath itself. You began to see or sense a feeling of open space, a feeling of being non-disrupted. And I used some of those words, didn't I? Non-reactive, non-preferential, non-biased is often how the language is put, so that we're not solidified in that way. And we can begin to then relate not only to the breath, but then to everything with that same openness, with that same non-clinging, non-grasping, letting it appear and disappear, including all the things we have believed that were true or solid or fixed or needed to be a certain way in us, right? And so that is the essence of the difference of the views. I'm going to see if I can't get rid of this, save that. There's somebody online. I'm thinking maybe somebody wanted to say hello and had something to say. So if you do, please join while I'm looking for this.
I wanted to say one quick thing. I want to say thank you.
Hi, Rick.
I know I had gotten to this point, and it maybe only happened one time. I started meditating with you, I think back in like 2009. I think it's been a minute, as they say. And you once shared with me that at one point you had stopped practicing at some point, and I thought to myself at the time, that is so fucking crazy. Like this is like such a great thing. Like how could anyone get there? And I got there, right? Like all of a sudden I stopped practicing the last kind of week or two, and I was like, what's the point? Who gives a shit? I don't even like this isn't doing anything. I'm not getting anything out of it. There is no peace coming from this stupid shit. and and so then just as I was actually having the dialogue in my head, just before practice started, so in Philly, we call the parking enforcement people is the PPA, and they're assholes. So there's a PPA at the top of my block, not moving. The people are lining up on my street. People are honking. And then literally in pure Philly fashion, one guy tried to pull a PPA out of his car to beat the shit out of him.
Oh.
And so I think to myself, this is exactly right. There is no point to this fucking practice. and like, this is exactly it. And so I decided to close the crack of my window and really focus and pay attention. And I really want to thank you because this practice brought me back.
Yes, when we keep practicing, we eventually see past our wanting. We see past our preference. We see past the peace we thought we should get, past the idea of the practice, right? These limited ideas. My 10-year limited idea was this is the path to the end of suffering. And I had a big plan about how that should occur, and it wasn't happening. In fact, what it was very clear was that it was taking me directly into hell, is how it looked to me. Not only did I not feel things less, I felt them more, and they hurt more. They were pained more. I cried more. I was fearful more. Not actually. I was just noticing. I was just finally noticing the pain, the fear, the grief, the terror that I was in all along and that I had ignored for this, organized, hit the dot, right? Get the metrics life. It was fucked up. And we all buy in.
So that's a really good point. That's actually where I was also going is, now, like if I read something about, because, like last year in Philly, 2,500 people got shot, 500 were killed, and I get it. Like, like in Chula Vista in 2019, 4 people were murdered, and in 2020, 9 people. So that's like a huge increase. But on the cynical side of me, because, go fuck yourself. 9 people is nothing, but when I read these articles, like it is very painful to read everyone.
Yes.
Now these days, right? Everything becomes more. So then how can one sort of stay present, but not allow all these things to feel so painful and agonizing?
Yes. And the pain and the agony, I don't think we escape that. So the point of the practice isn't to get out of it. The point of the practice is to know what it is, isn't it? Then the point of the practice, and those of you who have long practice, maybe you can speak to this because this is the path of meditation. We don't meditate so that we don't feel pain. That's not the point of the practice. It's that we can hold the pain knowing pain is pain. We can understand grief is grief. We can understand the wanting it to be some other way. We can understand the wanting me to be some other way and wanting life to be some other way. And instead of being pissed off all the time that it's not going the way I want, I can abide both the truth of my wanting peace, wanting ease, wanting happiness, wanting freedom, and the fact that there's also suffering in this world. And how then do I live, act, think, breathe so that I don't contribute to it? Well, I don't contribute because I don't resist the truth. I start there. Can I breathe this in? That there are double the murders in Chula Vista than there was just the year before. And can I feel the ache about that? Can I let that be true? The ache about that, the ache about loss, about grief, about the fact that everything ends, and not just go big deal, right? The guy on the Facebook who went, none of it matters because it's all going to go. And so what? And so then what? Don't hold it. Don't love it. Don't connect to it. reject everything in some nihilistic, because like now it doesn't matter. It's not true. It is true that there is pain in this life, however. And we have the capacity, and it's certain, each one of you, it's certain, have the capacity to hold it. Yes, you do. Now you're getting knocked over by the tsunami waves that knocked me over at that time. At that time, I was like, no, I don't want a child with autism. No, I'm not up for that. I'm not in the mood. It's not very convenient. I don't particularly like it. I didn't want to be a mother of a disabled child. No, I'm not signing up for that. Right? With a whole bunch of ideas that I had absolutely no idea about what that would mean. No idea. And in fact, none of it turned out to be true, by the way, folks. My whole, and then it's horrible, and then it stays horrible for life, and then you die. None of it was true. It's not true today. But I had a whole bunch of thoughts about what it meant. This idea of having a child with a disability. I have way more disabilities than my child, by the way. Just saying. I can't imagine what he thought when he went, uh-oh, I got that mother. Now what? Right? And hopefully, out of both of our practice, by the way, he's an amazing practitioner in his way, in exactly the right way. Right? We can see more clearly. This is the point of meditation practice, to stabilize the mind so that we can see its gripping human nature. And rather than be lost in the clinging to the pleasant and rejecting the unpleasant and ignoring the neutral, because we can barely make contact, can we then hold life open, lightly breathing, and then see how we might contribute. This is realization. This is the path to true happiness. This is enlightenment as best I know it, happening moment by moment. Moment by moment. I'm going to go read some chats because we've got some wisdom happening here. Practice to walk through the suffering again and again and continue to see the sky and feel the warmth of the sun and know that the suffering is optional. It is not, the pain is not. There is going to be loss. There's going to be grief. There's going to be sorrows. We cannot escape this in this human life. And we often enjoin practice. I know I did, with the idea that if I practice enough, I can get rid of life. I can really just sort of tunnel through, neutral in everything, sort of zen my way. That was my brilliant idea. It was 100% wrong. And I'm grateful for having seen that. Now, I screamed for 2 years about the reality. I didn't like it either, Rick. I didn't like it. I don't want suffering. I don't want people dying. I don't want hunger. I don't want conflict. I don't. And I know this mind, and I know this mind, the mind, enough to know that these are moments of fear and pain, and how we have to then come to terms to hold it first, to greet it first, to see that even it does not last. Even it's not permanent, no matter how painful a particular moment may seem. Greg writes, it helps me to see the hindrance that is in play. Yes, always. Am I pushing, clinging? Am I checking out? Am I getting restless, slothful? Am I in doubt? My number one greatest hindrance at the first 10 years of my practice was doubt, which is this shit doesn't work. Yeah. And my teacher was old, by the way. She was 80 when I met her. It's like, you're old. What do you know? You're dying. What do you care? None of this is important to you. You're practically dead. She looked like she was walking dead. She weighed like 90 pounds. Like, really, you don't even, this is easy for you to let go because you got nothing to hold on to. Again, completely wrong, completely delusional, not right. But could I recognize my own mind hindrance? And that was doubt. By the way, it wasn't that I was really doubting her, folks. Don't mistake it. She was a warrior. It wasn't that I was doubting the practice. Actually, I never fully quit. the practice, even though I said fuck you to the Zen Center for a time. Actually, what I doubted was my own capacity. That's the truth. I went, I don't have this. I don't have what this takes. I don't have the capacity to. This is 10 years of practice. I don't have this. I'm not warrior enough. I can't show up for this stuff. It's too big, too hard, too painful, too scary. I don't own it. Now, I blamed everybody else because, well, that's our favorite thing to do. But the truth was, I only really doubted one thing, and we all ever do. And so knowing the hindrance that's at hand is often helpful. I believe doubt is often a big one. We point everywhere because the practice isn't the right one, the teacher's not the right one, the day's not the right day. If only I had these 20, then I could do it. That's not true. Can we make our practice unconditional? Can we show up no matter what's going on, even for 60 breaths? Rick, 60 breaths, do it. Do it. You're an Olympian. You can do it. You're a life Olympian. Do it. 60 breaths, no matter what. I'm going to do it. And then I'm just going to see what the truth is. Good day, bad day. Day I like, day I don't like. Sunny day, cloudy day. Day I'm hurting, day nothing's, I'm numb. Can I unconditionally show up for at least those 60 breaths? And the answer is you can. You can. You don't have to like it, but you can do it. Greg says, then when I see that, I can open and accept what is in that moment. Not only the hindrance, right? But the mind, the wide open, spacious mind that sees it all, that loves it all, that holds it all. Even me in my most hateful, even me in my most doubtful, even you in your confusion and your aggression. Yeah, right? It's all possible. I can hold it all. And that is absolutely real. That's the capacity of the practice. Yes, a person who does not feel the immense pain of it all every minute is not here. That's right. That's half of the view. The truth of pain is half of the view. What's the other half? The whole half that holds it, that is not pained as well, that is not in the suffering, that is not collapsed by it. It's right here also, along with that pain. Who do you think's holding it? That's you going, okay, you don't have to like it. Don't have to think so. We just did that with the breath, didn't we? We went breath I like, breath I don't like. Thought I like, thought I don't like. Guess what you did? There I am. I'm here, abiding, unconditionally present, unconditionally friendly. That capacity, that's the path of realization. Can I show up completely knowing, very next breath? Right. Doubt is being in the desert. Remember that, Greg? We've talked a lot about this. Where now we stay in the desert till we see clearly what? We're in the desert. We're without water. We're exposed to the sun. We're the whole time. Till what? Till we see clearly that doubt itself is a mind object. Doubt itself is simply an arising, appearing, changing, fading, and passing away. That doubt doesn't even stay because it doesn't. But what does abide? What abided that breath? Every single breath. What was there? The mind that knew it. Short breath, long breath, breath I like, breath I don't like. Sweet breath, sour breath, breath that smells. What's there? Knowing all of that. The realized, present mind. The one who shows up every breath. There is that capacity. How do we remember and then rest back in that awareness, not attached to the object, no matter what it is, whether it's the breath, whether it's a hindrance, whether it's a thing I like, or whether it's a thing I don't like. See, lost as we're trying to grab that. There is no object you can grab. Can anybody name one? What are you going to grab? To be safe, to be okay, to find refuge. Tell me what it is if you know it. I tried it for 10 years. I couldn't find it. That's what brought me to the panic, which is essential, I think, on the path to go, uh-oh, no, this ain't going to work out. There is going to be no thing. There's no thing that I'm going to be able to grab. And so we watch it all. I was awakened yesterday when I decided to receive a call when I was driving my car and suddenly saw a truck coming up fast on my right. And I was in the lane I wanted to be in. So not being awake, present, I cut him off, raised my hand in acknowledgement. We went our separate ways, but I realized I needed to find him and apologize for not being awake. Yes, that's lovely. We can do that whether we can make contact with that person or not, can't we? We do, to the extent we can realize that we do, but can't we say, may I be forgiven? May I be freed from this moment of unskillfulness? May I free myself from this moment of being asleep? Can't I? And we have to do that for ourselves because sometimes even when we find the person, what's true, out of their own fear, their own pain, their own delusion, they cannot yet offer that to us, but we can. But we can. In my own abandonment is where I save myself. The person who wrote it directly to me, so I'm not going to name them, but if you can see that you're abandoning yourself, you are completely saved. Yes, once you see, I didn't even show up for me. I was waiting for some conditions to arise so that I could be okay. Yeah. We can doubt. It's a beautiful thing, actually. Till we find the oasis. Let's talk about that. Where is it? The oasis is the what? The clear seeing, the open-heartedness, and the capacity of awareness itself to hold everything. To hold everything, including my pain, including my fear, including my, in the 9 and 10 years of my practice, while I was screaming at everyone about, you're not understanding this, folks, get me out of this. Every teacher, and I saw everyone I could find within 1,000 miles, everyone said, no, you'd be better off just to let this die. And I was like, huh? What do you mean? Well, that self that you keep trying to cling to, just see if you can let that die. It was like, yeah, no, I'm not on this page. What are you talking about? Actually, they weren't wrong, but they were just talking about something I couldn't yet sense. They were talking about the egoic self, the gripping, clinging, craving one, the one that said, I want life to be a certain way, the way I want it to be, the way I expected or planned or think I can handle, or, and they were saying, let that go. Well, you can't let it go first, folks. You have to first just let it be. You have to first just let it be. You first just sit in it, you spin in it, you get tumbled by it, you get softened up like a rock tumbler in it. I don't think there's any simple way to just let it go. I wish it were true. I'm clearly a rock head. It wasn't going to be that way for me. I had to struggle with it for a long time to finally go, okay, it is just like this right now. The truth of pain is like this. Could I just feel it in my body and let it be? Let it be. And not only did it break me open, which it did, right? It did. It was exactly the right thing because I was holding on to something that wasn't holdable. Life the way I wanted it, me the way I wanted it. And it wasn't ever going to work out that way. I was going to continue to suffer while I was gripping for that. And life is smarter, I have to say. Life is smarter. It knows us better. So this is the point of the practice. This is why we sit and attend to the breath, because that neutral object, Rick, we can't even bear it. We can't hardly, like the breath. What about the breath? Breath sucks. The breath's stupid. There's no point to this. It doesn't matter what it is. Let it be sound. Let it be thoughts. Let it expand and open to include everything. They all hold the same characteristics. It doesn't matter what it is. They're all going to go to form to formless. They're all going to appear and pass away. They're all going to rise and die. It's all going to be born and have its appearance and disappear. And that's the truth of everything. And that's one of the essential realities that we have to keep making contact with to bear this life, by the way. So we practice and train for that because we can't bear it. We don't like that truth, that ever-changing reality. That's number one. The second characteristic that I identified is it's not personal. This isn't life doing anything to you. It's just life appearing as it does. And it's not accidental. It's right, the conditions and causes that place you there and place it there. And the confluence of it all is exactly what it is. And can we just remember life arising? Life arising, life passing, life arising again. And that it is not reliable, that there is nothing to hold on to in this life except the truth of impermanence, the truth of interconnectedness, the truth of change, and the truth of awakening to it all. This is it, an awakening to it all. And then everything's a miracle. Everything, even the pain, is a miracle because I can form open-hearted, loving, kind, compassionate relationship to it and to all those others just like me who know this suffering too, who know this pain too, who know this sorrow, this grief, this disgusted too. And so that's the second pillar of awakening. Without the practice, however you're doing it, 60 breaths a day, 60 minutes a day in shamatha, in vipassana, in clear seeing, in open-heartedness, I don't know how to abide. Then we're all lost in that ever talking mind that says, just don't want it, just don't like it, and I want it just my way. And again, no judgments about that mind. That's just one of the appearances. Neither is it sustainable in who we really are. We are the one that can hold that one too, the lost one, the wounded one, the fearful one, the judging one, the aggressive one, the hateful one, the giving up one, and the one who tries again. Right? All of that. And so with that, the second pillar of the practice, meditation, essential. I want everyone to commit some amount of time. I committed 10 minutes when I first started the practice a day, and I was so pathetic at it that I could not find 10 minutes in the day for the practice. I practiced at the end of my bed every night for 10 minutes. My husband thought it was an evening prayer. He didn't even know what I was doing. It was all fine. That was the beginning. And I never really quit that. Never really quit that. That was the kind of minimum bar for me that I have been able to sustain kind of no matter what. And now some days, many days it looks different or more, but I can't say that the number of minutes is as much the point as the unconditionally present and friendly way in which we greet it. Can we do that? Can you show up, whether it's to the breath, to sound, to thoughts arising and passing? Can you truly show up for them, be present to them, and actually open to see their true nature and yours? That's the point. And yours. The ever abiding nature of you. Breath like this, breath like that. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for all that beautiful contribution, everyone. Thank you, Rick, because that's the truth of the practice. What the hell's the point of this? Breath. Let's practice again for a minute. Let's remember together. Letting go of all concepts, ideas, perspectives, point of the practice, oh, now I know, now I don't know. Forget it. Forget it. Just be here. Finding the way back to the body, just feeling the sense of the direct, most immediate sensations available here. Feet on the floor, clothes on the body, whatever's happening. We begin to remember once again, gather, collect, and then settle the mind in the body. And then finding the way from a body as a whole to the breath as it moves in and out of the body. And really, there's breath is simply a concept, right? We're just resting in the sensations of the breath as it moves in and out of the body. Finding that place where you can make the medium of the breath most accessible. And with this stable mind, the one that is unmoved by the ever-moving reality of objects, this is the awakened ones, the mind that is unmoved by all of the transience, by all of the temporariness, by all of the impermanent winds coming and going. And can we open-heartedly, most lovingly greet them all? While we are clinging to that which is pleasant and rejecting that which is unpleasant, the mind will be lost in the swarm. But once known, once seen, once recognized, we are once again free. We are once again liberated. If you see the mind caught, it is no longer caught. And we rest in that awareness. May we call to mind our aspirations for this practice today, those we love. May we offer the merits of this practice to them. And then beyond them, to those they love. And to those they love, until all are held in this boundless heart. And we offer these well wishes, this goodwill, this compassion from this unmoving, all-inclusive mind. May we all have happiness and the causes for happiness, true abiding happiness. May we all be free from fear, pain, loneliness, doubt, confusion, the hindrances, and see the conditions for their arising. May we see the quality of mind that constructs these very hindrances, and consequently, once again, be free. May we remember our blessings, our good fortune, the preciousness of this human life, and our capacity to be present, loving, connected in it. May we remember who we truly are, O you, O nobly born. O nobly born, may you remember who you really are. Not that doubt, not that aggression, not that pain, not that job, not that relationship. You are so much more. And may this practice today contribute to realizing that true nature. May it be so for the Sangha, for each other, and for all beings. This is a very good day. May we all be well. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. We next week will be going over the third pillar of awakening. We have now reviewed view, the view that holds no one view, no side, but holds it all, the meditation practice and its essential aspect of the path on the way to fruition, or what in these teachings are called action, how to then speak and act from those first two pillars, and having confidence, faith, trust in the wisdom and the love within it. We'll be reviewing that next week. I hope to see you all. Rick, I especially hope to see you. You be here. I'll look forward to seeing you all. Blessings to you all. Have a beautiful day. Be in it. Be fully present in it. I'll look forward to seeing you Monday evening at 7:30 if that works. Tuesday morning for Real Change, chapter Coming Home to Ourselves, and Thursday with Greg at 7, and then Saturday again, the third pillar, the pillar of the fruit, the actions of our skillful heart mind. I'll look forward to seeing you all then. Be well, everyone. Take good care.